State Police.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. For a little background, my name is Captain Burton. I'm the lieutenant for the Southern Field Troop that covers York, Oxford, Cumberland, and Stockton counties. When I graduated the academy 30 years ago, Cornish was part of my first patrol, so this town means a lot to me, and I'm happy we're back. I won't bore you with a lot of information. I can answer questions when I'm done if you have any. Real quick, in the last year, the state police has gone through a lot of change. We've reorganized the state, so the Gray Barracks was Troop B, the Alpha Barracks was A. They've been combined to now the Southern Field Troop. And where we have less manpower and more ground to cover, we've decided to focus our sites a little bit tighter. So in Oxford County, we're only really looking at Porter, Hiram, Brownfield, Denmark. Cumberland County, we're kind of looking at Baldwin, Sebago area. York County, we have 3 dedicated patrols because of a call sharing agreement, which is Cornish, Parsonsfield, Limerick, Wilmington, Dayton, Hollis. So Cornish is kind of the bullseye of our area. We're covering that. So Cornish, Parsonsfield always has a trooper assigned. There's 3 troopers assigned to the 6 towns in York County, in addition to 1, if not 2 supervisors. Like I said, those that are in the other counties are real close. It's not hard to get from Porter to Parsonsfield. And we're trying to do a good job for you folks. We took over, I believe it was January 21st of last year with the Sheriff's Department when we reorganized our call sharing. Real quick numbers, last year we handled about 770 calls for service in the town of Cornish. We're hoping that we're doing a good job. If we're not, I need to hear about it. One of my supervisors, Simon Hank, is here. Most of you probably know him. He's in the area. We're trying to do our best to keep your community safe. And if we're not, please reach out and tell us how we can do it better. If anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have House of Representatives Mark Lamb?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Lyer. I am your state representative. Basically, last year they redistricted. I didn't have Cornish, and they put a new district, and most districts are about 9,200 people. So when they redistricted, Cornish became my area to represent. This is my 6th year as a House of Representatives member, and I'm on the ballot to run 1 more term. That'll continue my 8 years, and that makes me term out. But I do work hard as your representative. Even though I represent people specifically with issues that you may have, I create laws that affect the whole state of Maine. And so I have that perspective in mind when I'm in Augusta. Some of the committees that I'm on, this year the Speaker of the House appointed me to the Blue Ribbon Commission on EMS. We've had some issues with EMS, which is Emergency Management Services. There's money that has been allocated, $31 billion. That's been kind of held up with rulemaking. There is a first batch that has gone out. The second batch should be coming out here shortly. So those are one of the things that the Blue Ribbon Commission came up with, and a lot of other recommendations. I think that the wave of the future for EMS in our state is going to be regionalization. We kind of already do that now through mutual aid in other communities. I think you have Suffolk Valley here, so it's a little bit different than other municipalities, but I think the helicopter view of what's going on in our state, I think that's what you're probably going to end up by seeing coming down the pipeline. I'm not talking next year, but 20, 25 years. I think that's where we're going to be. Another committee I serve on is the Government Oversight Committee, which oversees all the state agencies. We've been dealing with DHHS, with all the child deaths that we've had, trying to come up with recommendations with that. Longevity, retention of employees has been important. housing for children. Children are kept in hospitals for long periods of time. There's no safe place for them to go. So we're trying to figure out that aspect and giving the HHS recommendations. And so we've been dealing with that. Another community that I serve on as well is housing. You know, we have a housing crisis in our state. One of the things a lot of people talk about is affordable housing. Unfortunately, that's hard to solve without subsidies. It costs $350,000 to build a unit. People want it built for $100,000. That doesn't happen anymore, right? They do contractors and building materials and things of that nature. I don't really believe in subsidized housing, although we've actually allocated $103 million towards housing. There's always going to be some need for subsidies, but I think we've shifted more towards socialized type housing over home ownership. I'm more of a fan of home ownership. I think that pulls people out of poverty, and so that is one of my focuses on that. We are allocating more money this year. Last year we did $103 million. They're looking for another $26 million, and so some of that I'm kind of in favor of, as far as the $10 million for helping people to acquire properties. The other $16 million is, again, you know, housing first, things of that. All programs that we need, but we've allocated so much money towards Preble Street. The unfortunate thing is they need to help. Unfortunately now, the way they seek funding in the past, they're going to get away from that because now Maine is giving them money and they're just going to continue to ask for money instead of seeking funding like they did in the past. So there's always that balance there. I think that we're shifting that balance more towards state aid, which I'm not 100% in favor of, but that's where we're at with that. And then the last committee that I serve on is appropriation of financial services. It's basically the state budget. Right now, the governor has put a package together. We're going to get a change package, a supplementary budget. She wants to get a change package. She's looking to take $50 million to help with roads and bridges, culverts, and also the work and waterfront. She wants to take that out of the budget stabilization fund. I'm not in favor of that. We had a forecast. We have $82 million. We'd like for her to take it out of that. Just creates less spending for our state. And those funds, $25 million, will go to the ocean front, basically work and wharfs, things of that nature. The other $25 million is going to go towards fixing roads, culverts. Back in December, if you saw the big storms out, you know, like the Sunday River, Sugarloaf area where they got washed out. I know people have been asking me, is that going to be available funds for my personal driveway? I guess you can probably ask for those resources, but there's about $200 million in damage. We're allocating $50 million just to fill in the gaps where FEMA won't come in. So that's kind of what's going on there. We are dealing with a supplementary budget. It's about $382 million. She'd like to set aside $107 million. I think that those resources will get spent just for, we call it details, where you add positions, and then, you know, the out years, you need those resources to cover that. The state's operating budget right now is $10.42 billion. 5 years ago, it was about 8.3. You know, state employees was about 11,000. Now we're at 14,000 just in the last 5 years. So just to give you an idea of where we're going as a state. And so just want to kind of give you those updates. I'll take a minute to answer any questions if there are any. No? Okay. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Mark Millard. Thank you for having me this evening.
All right. Dan Sherman, will you please come to the podium? And will you present that?
Good evening. Every year we present a Spirit of America Award to a citizen and/or an organization who has made a positive contribution to the town. And this year here, actually for 2023, this award goes to John McIntyre. And those of you who know John know that he's involved in many different facets of town government. John has worked diligently to help us put this floor back into better use, good use. Thank you, John. John also participates the Horseman's Day at the Fairgrounds, in addition to the Duck Derby. And each year for the parade, John corrals a group of his friends with the old cars for our parade. So again, thank you, John. If you'd like to come and
I want to thank the selectmen for this puts me in a very elite group of people. I hope I don't discredit the others. I'm calling forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Jess Larson, will you do our dedication?
This year's town report is dedicated to Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall, as many of you know, Mr. Hall passed away last year. And Ken has proven to be one of the dedicated people of the town of Cornish. He has done so much for this town without asking for any recognition. Just to let you know, he was part of the town's comprehensive plan committee. He was instrumental in Thompson Park and Eagle Park. Every time you walk by Thompson Park, think of Mr. Hall, because Mr. Hall did do the fountains and the kiosks and all the electricity associated with it. And in fact, that was one of his things, was that he would put the covering on top of the fountain. And over the years, I was the one that learned all about the electrical kiosk system through Mr. Hall. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know how to fix it. The other thing about Mr. Hall, I know he's with the library, and he was part of the library renovations. He was also on the planning board for a very long time. He was a wealth of information, vast knowledge, and a man of few words, but when he did speak, he was well received, and everybody took notice. The other thing, additionally, he was a veteran, a World War II vet. And for that, I just want to thank him for his service, even though he's not with us. And I want to thank him for everything he's done for this town. It's been quite a bit over the years.
Just a friendly reminder, could you please speak up? The space is hard to hear everybody without a microphone. Thank you.
All right, to John McIntyre, resident of the town of Cornish in the county of York, state of Maine. You are hereby notified to warn the inhabitants of the town of Cornish in the county of York qualified to vote in town affairs to meet at Pike Memorial Hall in said town on Monday, 18th day of March, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the evening, then and there to act upon the following articles to wit. Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Will you guys please vote for moderator? It is anonymous that Nate Wadsworth has been voted to be a moderator tonight. Nate? Come right over here. I, Nate Wadsworth,
I, Nate Wadsworth,
do swear that I will
do swear that I will
support the Constitution of the United States
support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so long as I shall
so long as I shall
continue a citizen thereof.
continue a citizen thereof.
I, Nathan Wadsworth,
I, Nathan Wadsworth,
do swear
do swear
that I will faithfully discharge,
that I will faithfully discharge,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my ability,
the duties incumbent on me,
the duties incumbent on me,
member of moderator,
member of Moderator,
for the town of Cornish,
for the town of Cornish,
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and the laws of the state,
and the laws of the state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Can I please have your signature?
Back to you. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Nathan Wadsworth, and I recognize many of you. I'm a former state representative, and I live just across the river on Durgan Town Road in South Harbor, Maine. Just want to say a few things before we get started. Good. Thank you to ballot clerks on Friday, and thank you to my deputy moderator here. And appreciate you all attending. So, the election that was held on Friday, Dan Sherman has won another 3-year term as selected assessor and overseer before. Congratulations, Dan. There was, it doesn't look like there were any candidates for the open seat for the MSAD 55 Board of Director, which is a 3-year term, so there'll be discussion of that at the upcoming selections meeting on Wednesday. Trustee of the Water District, a term of 3 years, Lori Pike. Thank you, Lori. For Trustee of the Water District, a 3-year term, Raymond Whitlock. For Town Clerk, a 3-year term, Monique Guptill. And Tax Collector and Treasurer. And finally, Road Commissioner, 3-year term, Bob Sturgeon. I do have good news. This is the last full day of winter, and spring starts tomorrow evening, so that is some great news. If there's no objection, I will be using the main moderator's manual as a guide in supervising the conduct of our meeting this evening. Seeing no objection, thank you. If there's no objection, we will use the show of hand method of voting, unless otherwise required by law. The objection to show of hands. My understanding that's how Cornish has done it in the past, and I'd like to continue with that. Thank you. As we proceed through the articles of the warrant, I will read the article aloud, as well as any recommendations from the select board and the budget committee, and then ask someone to make a motion on the article. Once a motion's been made, I'll ask for a second. At that time, that's when we'll discuss the article. Please focus on discussing the article at hand, asking questions to clarify or stating your position why. With regards to amendments, if you wish to propose an amendment to an article, then you may do so. The motion to amend does require a second. Upon receiving the second, the amendment is open for discussion, and then upon the amendment being moved, the amendment may be voted upon. Do we have any non-residents that wish to speak at tonight's meeting? I see two. Please stand and identify yourself.
Beverly Russell, treasurer of the board, sought to be rescued in case there's any questions.
And Mike Heck, chief of Soccer Rescue, same, same question.
It takes a 2/3 vote of the town members to allow them to speak tonight. Is there a show of hands to allow these non-residents to speak? And any nays? Thank you. Okay. Anyone else speak? Yep. All right. We'll continue on the warrant. We've been through Article 1 and Article 2, so Article 3. To see if the town will vote to authorize municipal officers to spend an amount not to exceed 1/6 of the budgeted amount in each budget category of the 2024 annual budget during the period from February 1st, 2024 to March 18th, 2024 annual town meeting. This article legalizes municipal expenditures made after the fiscal year ends, but before the annual town operating budget meeting.
So
Go ahead. I have a first, do I have a second? Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands for a yea? Thank you. And any nays? Article 3 carries. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to appropriate all salaries and expenses of the town officers as follows. As you can read on Article 4, it's posted in the warrant. The total article amount is $143,145. Select board recommends that amount, and the budget committee recommends that amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Yes.
So I looked this over carefully, and the increases in salaries on many of these positions, the lowest one is a 9.2% increase over last year. And it goes from 11.67, 11.16, 15.38, and 18.2 increases over the last year. I'm wondering if that's enough. I'm looking for you know, everybody here, I'm sure got a bigger increase in their salaries. I'd love to know how the selectmen came up with this as a recommendation.
Kind of a general question, direct. Go ahead, Dan.
So yeah, so just a little bit of background. We discussed Brad's concerns at length at the budget committee, so this is not the first time that the conversation has taken place. And Brad raises a good point. Yes, there were some pretty sizable increases, and I think we got to be mindful of a couple things. One is that last year the deputy and the town clerk elected not to. They asked us to not have a wage increase because we implemented a savings plan. So that was number one. The clerk and the deputy town clerk asked that we not provide a raise last year, which obviously we honored. And then the other part of the consideration with the increase for the current year is we looked in the area to see what other like positions were being paid, and we made a judgment call, and this is what we presented to the budget committee.
So is it commensurate with the same?
It's in line with other wages in the area, yes. And the other part that is kind of I'll call it intangible, and that is retention. Anyone that has a business, obviously over the last several years, understands that hiring people is a chore, let alone retaining them. So that's another consideration we gave in preparing the numbers, is retention.
Nancy?
don't you have microphones? I don't know how people are going to hear you. You've got to stand up when you speak and speak to that back wall, or you've got to get microphones because people cannot hear you. When your voices dip down, which is a natural thing that people do, everybody loses whatever your train of thought was. So I don't know why you chose not to have microphones. You didn't. So now you've got to compensate by speaking much louder than you are. Please.
You raise a good point, and we'll try
That's
to,
seconded.
we'll try to change the format for next year. Traditionally, we don't use microphones, but that's obviously.
Last year, why didn't this?
Any further discussion on Article 4?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brad.
Part-time office assistant, $3,600, new position, am I correct?
Question posed. Anybody that wants to answer that from the board?
Yes, that's a new position, Brandon.
It is a new, well,
All right, now, let me just explain the rationale behind that. And I'm gonna speak up. The new position is volunteer. The office staff has gotten really busy. And what happens is during tax season, and when they have to do, mailing, getting the town reports together, it's not something that's gonna be used daily or weekly. It's something that's used as a per diem position so that we can have individuals getting paid for their services. You have to understand that the operation of the town has gotten quite extensive. There's a lot of compliance that needs to be done through the state. And, preparing for these meetings, preparing for sending out taxes, reports, people going on vacation, you need to have that extra personnel there. And it's not that it's going to be used all the time, but it's an availability because volunteerism, guys, is just not happening in town anymore.
Go ahead.
For transparency, could you please disclose the typical hours worked per municipal staff?
I can, Monique,
So open hours were open 31 hours.
Can you work those 31 hours?
Do I?
Yes. Thank you.
But that's not all we work. We also have elections, we have select board meetings, we have special town meetings, let alone anytime we get called. So it's not a typical 31 hours per week.
So are you volunteering, or are
I'm
you
salaried,
staying in
so it doesn't
compliance
matter.
with state law? With being
I'm salaried, so whether I work 100 hours or I work 2 hours, it doesn't matter for my pay.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. See a show of hands for a yay on Article 4. Thank you. And nay. Let's see a show of hands for nay. Thank you. Article 4, passes. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,590 for the town's matching contribution to the fund, the Maine Public Employees Retirement Systems, from February 1st, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. Select Board and Budget Committee both recommend to do so. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion on this article? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And a show of hands for the nays. Article 5 carries. Article 6. Did everybody hear me fine? Yes. Louder, better? Okay. Article 6. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $14,000 for a firefighter payroll. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 6 carries. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $11,500 for the town's annual audit. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 7 carries. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate an amount not to exceed the sum of $25,000 for revising property valuations based on the current market. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And been first and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead.
What exactly does this mean?
It's like a question to the board.
We have our assessor
So we,
here. Bob, our assessor.
right?
Why doesn't the board?
Did you hear the question, Bob?
No, but I've learned the lesson about speaking loud enough so people can hear.
It was just a what precisely does this mean? What does this mean?
Sure, for this article.
Yeah.
Article 8 has to do with the valuation of the properties in town. Just as a way of introduction, my name is Bob Consul. I'm an assessor's agent that assists the selectmen in doing the annual property tax levy. I and my associate work for half a dozen towns. We also do the assessing work in Porter, and we do it in Brownfield, in Denmark, Freiburg, and I believe in the town of Long Island out in Casco Bay. So towns periodically have to calibrate the valuations assigned to properties based on the market value. And it's not been done in the town of Cornish for a long time.
That's not.
And so one of the things that will happen is when those property values are calibrated to market, yes, your valuations will go up, but the tax rate will drop. We're concluding this very thing in Brownfield right now. Their tax rate has been $17.80, and it's going to drop to about $13 when we're done with it. So most folks shouldn't see much of a change in their property tax bill unless there's been significant construction on their property during the year. So, does that help a little bit? The question.
No. I want to know why the board didn't know this, but the first thing I want to know is, when was the last time we had property valuations done? Because I thought it was within the last 8 years.
No, back in, I believe, it's 2006, Paul?
That's right.
No, that was,
I think they bring-
since Jerry died. And that was in 2012.
Vision was appraisal was hired to do it in 2016. One of the reasons the town hired me to do this is because I have familiarity with vision appraisal software. Frankly, they didn't do a very good job. I didn't want to get into that, but that's a subsidiary reason as to why we're trying to do that this year.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion on this article? There's a question in the back there.
Are there any adjustments for inflation, which has definitely been happening?
Inflation in which way? In what way? Yes, property
General
values.
inflation, general cost of living, cost of materials, all of that.
What
That just
influences
becomes
your tax?
dynamic.
What influences your bill is the spending that you vote on tonight. That's what makes it happen. If there were no spending, there'd be no tax bill. If you vote $1 bazillion, well, then your tax bill is going to be really high. That's what drives it. That's the control element. Ma'am, did you have a question?
Yeah, is this considered the total revaluation of the town?
We are not going to go into people's houses. We, in our working with other towns, we found that between COVID and people's senses of privacy, that most towns kind of don't want that to happen. But what we are going to do is we are going to go to every single property in town. We will have the existing record in hand, and we will look at what the folks have in their property and compare it to what is in our records. and make any adjustments as needed. We'll also be sending a letter out, so if any of you want to invite us to your property so we can go in and look at things, we'll be very happy to do that. But we don't want to be just rushing up to people's places when uninvited.
So how many years is it going to take you to do this?
We're hoping to have this done by next year. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just for clarification, will you be entering private properties and make these assessments?
Well, I tried to cover that here just now. We're not going to go into anybody's houses unless invited. We will try to go from the road. If we feel like there's things that we can't tell, we'll try to contact the person. We've had a few cases, I'll use Brownfield again as an example. Sometimes people's driveways will wind up around, be half a mile long up into the woods, in which case we'll try to get a hold of folks and see if we can't work out something where we can do something that's mutually convenient.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Does the state require for this to be done within a certain time period?
That's a very good question. It's not so much the time period, but as a sales ratio is the driver. By state law, towns are supposed to maintain an assessment ratio of 70% or higher. And right now, we're in the 60s. Well, what happens when you do that? Well, I guess I should explain the assessment ratio first. What it means is it takes all the properties that sold over the last year, compare their assessment to what they sold for. And the assessments on average are 70% or less. Well, the state can start withholding money from the town. And we're in a position now where that can start happening. This town is supposed to be reimbursed for tree growth money in the plot, for veterans exemptions, for homestead. That money can start being withheld by the state because the assessment ratio has dropped. I can tell you, Cornish is not unique in this. Almost every town we work in right now, their assessment ratio was between 85 and 95% a year or two ago, and now it's down into the 60% range. It's just, the market is just not crazy. So it's not unique here.
One last question for me. Are there state standards, like a statute, where you look at a piece of property in an equitable, non-biased way to come up with that assessment?
Well, what we try to do is use physical information, meaning the dimensions of the property, the story height of the property, the amount of depreciation involved in the property, and use that against set rates to arrive at a value. Once you've done that, that's called the cost approach. Then you look at the number that results and say, okay, how far off is that from market value? And then if it looks like it's not doing that great a job, we'll adjust the rates that are being used until the values that are coming in are similar to what they would like to sell. Yes, sir.
So, when you're looking at these, and you're looking at current assessed value with the sale prices, we all, as a former realtor, I know that not all deals were at an arm's length transactions. How do you deal with situations?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The concept of arm's length transaction. One of the things that happens is sales happen. Let's say money sells to a brother a house at half price. Should we use that as a yardstick? No. We try to comb through all the sales and try to find ones like that and make sure we don't use them as part of the calibration process. So that's a good question.
Any further discussion on Article 8? All right. Go ahead.
So the 25,000 is based on an estimate from your company?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's proceed to a vote. Can see a show of hands for yea on Article 8. Thank you. And nays. Any nays? Article 8 carries. Thank you, Bob, for the explanations. Article 9. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $22,000 for software updates, computer maintenance, and equipment. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? See no discussion? I'd like to call for a vote. I see a show of hands for yeas. Thank you. And the nays? Article 9 carries. Article 10, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 for the continued preservation and restoration of Pike Memorial Hall. Such funds to be retained in a capital improvement account if unexpended. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 10 carries. Article 11, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $2,879 for the 2024 dues to the Maine Municipal Association. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussions, can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And can I see a show of hands from the nays? Article 11 carries. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,400 for revisions to the assessing maps. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion?
Will those be available online?
General question, will the maps be online?
The maps are online already. These are the town maps.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 12 carries. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $16,000 for administrative and office expenses. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend to do so. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Thank you. Article 13 carries. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,500 for the utility cost of the town's building and property. Select Board and Budget Committees recommends to do so.
So moved.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 14 carries. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the maintenance of town properties. Select Board and Budget Committees recommends $30,000.
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 15 carries. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $27,000 for all forms of insurance coverage for the upcoming year. Select Board recommends, Budget Committee makes no recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Put out the bid.
Question was, is if put out the bid?
It did not go out to bid this year, no.
I didn't get that.
No, it did not go to bid. At some point, we need to take the time to put it out to bid, yeah.
So how do we know we're getting the best value for a lot?
What we can say, Brad, is that the annual increase that we've seen has been considered to be reasonable. And I guess the true measure would be to just do as just as you described, is put it out to bid and solicit for a new premium.
Any further discussion?
Well, this is so frustrating. A few years ago, I insisted that the school board put out we did for the school properties, we saved almost $40,000, which hadn't been done before. And why aren't you folks doing this?
I guess I don't know how to say it best, but the town has had a good working relationship with Clark Insurance, and the rates that, the increase to our premiums over the last, 8-10 years, Monique, has been what's considered to be very reasonable. And it's like a lot of things, you just gotta make the time to put it out to bid in the future, which we will do that. But I can't sit here and say that we have pressured our insurance representatives to make sure that the premiums are not excessive, and I feel confident saying that we're getting good value for our insurance.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 16 carries. Article 17. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 for miscellaneous and contingent expenses. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends $2,000.
So moved.
First, do I have a second? First and a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Thank you. Article 17 carries. Municipal Services Articles. Article 18. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $262,000 for solid waste removal. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends $262,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Been first and seconded. Any discussion?
Is that garbage removal? Is that what that is?
Yes, that would be
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Yeah. Good, fair question. And recycling. Any more discussion? I see a show of hands from the yeas. Thank you. And the nays? Article 18 carries. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,500 for curbside collection and disposal of 2 large items per household of household bulky waste. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure.
So moved. Second.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead, in the back.
Clarification on all that. Items that are going to be collectible versus not collectible.
So bulky waste is considered like couches and chairs, but once we set up the date with Melons and Son, there'll be an ad in the paper that says what they can and cannot take.
And when?
We gotta have this passed so I can get a date.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 19 carries. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for tire drop-off day at 37th School Street, which is the Cornish Fire Department, with a date to be determined for 2024. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure.
So moved. Tire.
Second.
Been first and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead, Paul.
I'm just curious, on this one in the prior article, does it matter how much is, is 2 tires or 2,000 tires?
Anybody know how many tires?
Dave, do you have it?
Basically, it's as many as you want to bring, I think, Paul.
But the price doesn't vary depending on what.
As long as you're a town resident.
What's that?
As long as you're a town resident,
No, but I mean overall for the whole town.
for the whole town.
If the whole town, if they pick up 10 tires, or if they pick up 1,000 tires.
What do we do? The town of Parsonsfield did a roll-off plus a packing.
and they filled both. So we're kind of just going off from that.
But it's $3,000 no matter how much they pick up.
That is for those two, for a roll-off and a pack. That's what it costs. We went off what it cost the town of Parsonsfield when they did it last year.
So it could be more than that picked up.
Could be, yeah. That price is for what, those two things, yes.
Go ahead. So it's based on an estimate.
They don't charge for a tire if you're a resident. Like I'm a resident right now with 6 tires, I can just leave 6 tires. Yep. They charge for a tire. No, you can bring your 6 tires.
It's gonna be a tipping fee.
Yeah, John. Bring down as many tires as you like to get rid of. Go ahead.
Just clarification, so a resident that happens to maybe own a business can bring as many tires down as they want?
No.
I
I think you gotta be reasonable. We're putting forward an article that'll, it's an attempt to get the tires off the side of the road. So if you bring down half a dozen tires, then probably not an issue. If you bring down a couple dozen tires, then, that doesn't leave room for your neighbors, so obviously that wouldn't be appropriate.
I'm not an attorney, but if I was talking to one, if it's not in writing, it doesn't mean anything. But
Your point is well taken, John. I think we're all pretty responsible individuals. So this is an article that we put together as a good faith effort to clean up the town. So we just expect that people will use good judgment when they decide to, bring a handful of tires or not bring 2 handfuls of tires.
Articles can be amended. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 20 carries. Jim, do you want to greet the crowd? Briefly. It's just a great place to pause for just a short second. This is our state senator, Jim Libby.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Hi, I'm Jim Libby. I'm your state senator. Pleasure to be here. I think it's a great fortune that you have this on Monday night because it allowed me to come. There's an awful lot of town meetings on the weekend, and so thank you very much for that. I'm not going to talk politics today, but I will be staying here throughout the entire meeting and will be available to you after the meeting. I would be happy to talk to you about any issues. I'm from Standish, Maine, Senate District 22. Goes all the way from Naples out to the New Hampshire border, Newfield, Parsonsfield, Shapley, Porter, and so got parts of 3 counties. And it's really a pleasure to serve you up there. So I will be in the back listening to the rest of the meeting. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
I know you're going to be at Augusta early tomorrow, so I didn't know what your schedule was tonight. Glad you'll be hanging out with us. All right, moving on to planning, code enforcement, and the animal control articles. Article 21. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,300 for the administrative costs and related expenses of the planning board. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ben first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 21 carries. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to take the sum of $6,000 from undesignated funds, if necessary, for economic and community development grant activities in Cornish. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
First and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 22 carries. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $589 for the dues of the Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 23 carries. Article 24. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $650 towards the support of the Saco River Corridor Commission for its continued water quality monitoring program. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 24 carries. Article 25. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 for anticipated legal fees. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Been first and seconded. Any discussion? Nancy?
So when we go over that, where will the money come from?
I didn't hear you.
How can we spend more than the 6,000? Where will the money come from? Undesignated fund.
We did, there was an overdraft in the amount of $1,265, which comes from undesignated funds.
I'm just surprised because as Nick knows, I was at the hiring time and I saw what they had for legal fees and we are quite below them. And I know we extended more. So I just was curious where you're going to get the money because it seems like it's a little contentious world we're in.
Yeah, no, you raised a good point, Nancy, and this is, I think if you look back in the previous town reports, in the back of the book, this is the first time, and I dare say a decade, that we've actually spent more than we budgeted. We had a case this past year that exhausted, well, virtually 100% of what we had budgeted, and then a little more.
That was a single case?
Yes.
One case.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Nick, I'm concerned because a couple times I've come before the selectmen or asked a question why we aren't doing something. And they'll say because we do not have the money for legal fees.
And that was last year.
And it bothers me because there are some things that needs to be done and they're not being done because we're afraid we're going to be sued.
We're on Article 25. Go ahead.
I'm curious with those past stated lessons learned from the selectmen and why we're not increasing that cost, the values budgeted number.
I guess the general question, why it's not more?
Sure. I think you could ask that same question for numerous articles. When the Budget Committee did their review of the budget that the selectmen prepared for them, there's a worksheet that Monique had prepared for the Budget Committee. John, you're familiar with it. And to the municipal budget alone, it's like 13.7%, and that's sizable. So if there's an area or a line item that we feel that the budget will hold from previous year, then that's the premise or the basis that we use to not increase in this case, legal fees.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 25 carries. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,508 for animal shelter fees at Harvest Hills Animal Shelter up in Freiburg. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote. And I see a show of hands from the yeas. Hold them high. Thank you, guys. And the nays. Article 26 carries. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 for animal control. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
First and seconded, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 27 carries. Cultural and recreation articles. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 for the observance of holidays. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 28 carries. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,000 in support of the Saukville Valley Rec Council. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 29 carries. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, and contribute $500 towards the cost of Saukville Summer Concert Series at the Cornish Bandstand, organized by the Saco River Festival Association. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
First and seconded. Any discussion? All right, I'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? I can hear the music all over my house in Durgantown by Appalachian. Article 31, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $7,500 to be used for the maintenance of the Cornish recreational facility. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 31 carries. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for the care of Cornish parks. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 32 carries. Article 33, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,000 for the support of Bonnie Memorial Library. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? You go ahead, Cindy.
Yes, what is the American Flag Project? What is that?
I'll come back to you. Any discussion on Article 33? The library. All right, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 33 carries. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 for the Town of Cornish American Flag Project. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and second. Any discussion?
Indeed.
Can you repeat your question?
Someone explain the American Flag Project?
Who can explain the flag project?
Where's Angel?
Angel.
Angel's playing flags.
What it does is, all the flags that we have on the telephone poles that are downtown, they have to be replaced and put up. And all the flag poles that have been presented in the town lately, they have to be taken care of and flags have to be put on them. We're also looking at, hopefully, if this is voted through, a new flagpole at the new bypass of Hiram Road and 25 to be in that little area there. And that will complete
Thank you.
Oh, and don't forget your Veterans Monument in the Riverside Cemetery also.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 34 carries. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 for the support of the Cornish Historical Society. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 35 carries. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to transfer to the Cornish Snow Cruiser Snowmobile Club an amount equal to 100% of the snowmobile registration reimbursement fees received from the state. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends to do this.
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion?
What happens to the funds if there's no snow?
Malik, could you weigh in on that?
36, well, snowmobile club, and if we have no snow.
So registered as snowmobiles.
Just curious if the state still gave it to the town.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Talking about, yes, they still do.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Does that snowmobile club still exist?
Yes.
Just?
Go ahead.
What were the registration fees for last year? How much money are we talking?
They average between $300 and $400 each year.
Here?
Yeah.
Is that personal?
I agree.
Okay.
It's,
Great. Any further discussion on this article? All right. Show of hands for the yeas on Article 36. Thank you. And the nays? Article 36 carries. Emergency Services Articles. Article 37. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $48,000 for the maintenance of the Cornish Fire Department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 37 carries. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for the purpose of updating fire equipment and major repairs. Said funds to be retained in a perpetual account if unexpended. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this amount.
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion?
We're off by one article, I think.
Did I jump ahead on it?
No, the fire department maintenance is Article 37, but yet, this, that's all right.
So I'm on Article 38, $15,000 for fire equipment and major repairs.
Yeah, that's 37 on my, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Everybody else on 38, 15?
38. Okay.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll move for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 38 here. Article 39. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,500 to be used for updating personal protective equipment. Said funds to be retained in a perpetual account of, if unexpended. Budget Committee and Select Board recommend that amount.
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right. Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 39 carries. Article 40. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $37,308 for debt services. Included are 2003 E Fire Station bond payment, $37,308. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion? Then first and second, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Thank you. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for the sole purpose of purchasing a new fire truck. Said funds to be retained in a perpetual account. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure.
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? I see no discussion. Let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Article 41 carries. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to expend the remaining balance of $32,000 from undesignated funds for the purpose of ventilation improvements and insulation replacement within the fire station, if necessary. See Article 39 from the Town Report of 2022. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
First and second, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to the vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 42 carries. Article 43, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $76,275 for the fire hydrant rental. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Then moved and seconded. Any discussion? I see no discussion. Let's move to a vote. I see a show of hands from the yeas. Thank you. And the noes? Thank you. Article 43 carries. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to take from undesignated funds $4,500 to be used as matching funds for our CFP grant, which would be used by fire department to install dry hydrants or purchase other fire-related items. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 44 carries. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $7,000 for fire and rescue dispatching services provided by Department of Public Safety. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. I see a show of hands from the yeas. Thank you. And the noes? Article 45 carries. Article 46, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $230,100 from undesignated funds, anticipation of Phase 2 Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities Grant, and also acronym BRIC, for the proposed Hessian Hill Emergency Communication Tower project. Said funds from surplus represent 75% matching amount. MEMA will reimburse the town once Phase 2 has been approved. Through the BRIC grant, said funds will be returned to the undesignated funds account once reimbursed by MEMA. The town has approved 25% matching funds in fiscal year 2023. Said funds to be retained in a perpetual account. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 46 carries. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to take from undesignated funds $5,000 from major fire payroll if necessary. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 47 carries. Article 48, shall the town approve funding towards the installation of the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, compliant water tank, pumps, and truck body on a 2010 International cab and chassis recently acquired by the Cornish Fire Department. Appropriate the sum of $380,485 towards the cost of the project, with the source of the funds to be A, $80,485 raised from taxation, B, $200,000 bond from the main bond bag, C, $60,000 from the rental income of the heli account authorized by C, D, E, G, and D, $40,000 from the town's undesignated fund balance. Yeah. Authorize the town treasurer and the chair of the select board to issue general obligation securities of the town in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $200,000. Delegate to the treasurer and the chair of the select board the authority and discretion to fix dates, maturities, interest rates, denominations, calls for redemption, form, and other details of said securities, including authority to execute and deliver the securities on behalf of the town. Cost, an estimated net interest rate of 3.9% for 5 years maturity. The estimated cost of this bond issue will be total principal, $200,000, interest, $20,485, total debt service, $220,485. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Nancy.
Can you tell me when this was acquired? In the very first sentence, it says it was already acquired by the fire department. When
Chris?
was it acquired?
We purchased the cab and chassis back in July. We've been at the station since early summer.
Can I ask why we didn't have a special town meeting to pay for it before it was acquired?
Yeah,
I see a lot of towns doing that. When they have a project, they have a town meeting to fund whatever it is. I guess I don't understand, Chris.
I came to the selectmen and told them what we had found, we fit what we wanted. We already had the money raised and appropriated for a fire truck. And the selectmen needed permission to go ahead and purchase the truck.
Interesting process.
I think just to add a little more to what Chris is saying, the monies that we used for the expenditure for the truck had already been approved in the previous budget cycles at the town meeting. So that was the premise for the decision that the board made upon Chris's request.
I'm not objecting to what they're doing, I'm objecting to the process by which you have done this. That's what I'm objecting to. I fully support the fire department, I just question how this was done.
I understand where you're coming from. It's a significant amount of money to spend in the purchase. However, it was already voted on and approved, much as our operating budget. So when we want to spend money out of our operating budget, we don't come to a special town meeting, we pay the bills, much as the way we did with the truck.
Yeah, I know, because what I'm looking at is what they're asking for now.
Any further discussion?
It should have been, to me, it should have been a complete package.
Go ahead.
Just clarify in my own mind, is this to replace a vehicle or is this an additional vehicle?
It's it's an addition to the fleet that we already have. And Nancy, maybe to help clarify, we've got just the cab and chassis on the station, the completed truck is not there. The $380,000 complete, put the fire body on the truck. So we have a functional fire.
And Chris, I totally support you,
Okay.
I just don't like the way this was done.
Any more discussion? Okay, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Thank you. Article 48 passes. Article 49, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $101,808 for the maintenance and operation costs for Sockeye Rescue to be paid in 3 equal installments. The first payable on or before April 15, 2024. The second payable on or before August 15, 2024. And the third payable on or before November 15, 2024. All contingent upon a fully executed contract. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Thank you. Article 49 carries. Article 50, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for the Sockeye Rescue Reserve account, all contingent upon a fully executed contract. The Budget Committee and the Select Board recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the nays? Thank you. Article 50 carries. Article 51, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,000 to cover the anticipated cost of street lighting, which is under contract with Central Maine Power. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 51 carries. Maintenance of roads, bridges, and infrastructure. Article 52. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $185,000 for the purpose of removal of winter sand from the streets, repair of roads and bridges, paving, cutting bushes along the town-maintained roadways as a form of road maintenance. Said fund to be retained in the perpetual account if unexpended. Budget Committee and Select Board recommend this expenditure.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right. Go ahead.
That include hazard trees, meaning trees that are standing dead, ready to come down to the road or on power lines.
Does anyone answer?
They are around.
Does Article 52 include the removal of some hazard trees
On town roads.
on town roads?
We should.
It does. There's not, in this case, the $185,000 does include emergency removals. But as far as for example, if there was $20,000 or $30,000 worth of trees that had to be removed, I don't think this article is intended to do that.
No, he's sick.
Go ahead.
Do we have a brief report of the deliverables that were met last year under this article?
I'm sure that will be available from the road commissioner upon request, yes.
Like how many miles were accomplished or something like that?
Again, we could get that from Bob.
Apparently, Mr. Surgeon's sick tonight, you guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Any others? Go ahead, Nick.
I have a question, Daniel. I think it was you that used the word emergency.
Yes.
This does not say emergency. I thought he was supposed to cut roads, the sides of the roads and the bushes every year.
So what typically takes place in the towns, this town and many other towns that we're good fortune of, a lot of the vegetation management is done by the CMP where the power lines are. On the opposite side of the road is where the town comes into play. And Bob usually every, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 years, they go through with the grinder and pushes the limbs that have grown into the road back. I know we've certainly paid for that type of work in the past, so, does it identify specifically? I don't think so. The article is all encompassing. for maintenance of the road, which includes a limited amount of vegetation management. I don't know if that helps, Diana.
Any further business? Go ahead.
So if there's a safety concern, say a failed culvert that isn't marked in the town right away, that's a hazard, is the town liable if that's not maintained?
Kind of a general question, not really pertaining to this article. Someone wants answered, they can.
I guess, if the culvert is within the town right of way, then by all means, the town is a responsibility.
Right.
If it's a private culvert on private land, then I would say that's clearly outside of the domain of the town's responsibility.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Is this article where ditches and stuff get corrected and improved? Waterway ditches beside the road, is this the article that takes care of that?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
If a citizen has to fix a hazard within that right of way, will the town reimburse that?
I think it has to be brought up to the road commissioner first.
Any further discussion on Article 52? All right, seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 52 passes. Article 53, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for preliminary engineering of replacing culverts on Back Street, which is in the planning stage through FEMA. A, $3,000 from taxation. B, $27,000 for the town's undesignated fund balance to meet contractual obligations until FEMA reimbursement funds are received in return to the undesignated funds account. Funding for the engineering scope of the work will be reimbursed by FEMA at 90% to the town for costs associated with said engineering. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Been first and second. Any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 53 passes. Article 54, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $215,000 for snow removal and sanding operations of the town. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure.
So moved.
Second.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's move to a vote. I see a show of hands from the yeas. Thank you. And the noes? Article 54 passes. Education and preservation articles. Article 55. To see if the town will vote to dedicate the franchise fees received and any grants received from Spectrum, formerly Time Warner, to the Sockby Valley Media Tech, which is formerly TV2, for the purchase and maintenance of equipment and for operating costs as deemed necessary to support Sockby TV program and retain funds from fees to reimburse town departments for internet expense. If the Sockby TV program does not run next year due to an absence of a Sockby TV coordinator, the franchise fees will be held in the Sockby Valley Media Tech account until February 2025. If no coordinator is found by then and the program is not running, the fees will be returned to the town of Cornish. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends to do so.
So moved. Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? Go ahead.
Does this mean, because we haven't had Channel 2 here, that they're not operating this year?
You're right here.
Did anyone answer that question? Go ahead.
We do have Channel 2. There was a spell we didn't have Channel 2 because there was some time we couldn't get. Where is Mr. Okay, there he is. Our coordinator is back here.
Any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 55 passes. Social services articles. Article 56, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 for the support of general assistant cases. The Budget Committee and Select Board recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can we see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 56 passes. Article 57, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $750 for the York County Community Action Program, which provides the town a wide variety of services for elderly, disabled, and low-income individuals. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this amount.
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 57 carries. Article 58, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 for the support of Maine Health Care at Home to help provide home health and hospice services for Cornish. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend no funding.
So moved.
Second.
Been first and second. Any discussion? No, go ahead. Sorry.
The reason we chose not to proceed with funding on this, we've discussed this last year. It's like double insurance. So in other words, the insurances are paying for hospice, home health care, and now they're asking us for funding. So it's almost like double, it's a double going on.
So the best thing to do would be to vote no, correct?
Yes, because otherwise, the town is giving the insurance funding that they're getting reimbursed from the client from. So that's why we do not recommend.
Could everybody hear Jessica? You wanted to repeat that?
I think it's double dipping is the best way to put it.
Any more? So a no vote on this article would equal no funding. A yes vote on this article would equal $1,000 to Maine Healthcare. Any more discussion?
No, we want a yes vote.
Okay, let's proceed to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? And can I see a show of hands from the noes? Article 58 fails. Article 59, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,400 for the support of Southern Maine Agency on Aging, providing Meals on Wheels, medical benefit assistance, and support for adults with disabilities, and caregivers living in the Cornish community. Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend this amount.
So moved. Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 59 passes. Article 60, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $754 for support of the Life Flight Foundation for Life Flight Maine, providing emergency medical helicopter services. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 60 passes. Article 61, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the support of Riverside Cemetery Association. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure.
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 61 carries. Article 62, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500 for the support of Caring Unlimited, York County's domestic violence program. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 62 passes. Article 63, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500 for the support of the Grateful Undead. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this amount.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 63 passes. Article 64, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 for the support of York County Shelter. Select Board and Budget Committee recommends this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 64 passes. Article 65, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $600 for the support of Smooth Feather Youth. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 65 carries. Article 66, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100 to help support Maine Public Radio, television, online, and providing educational, informational, and cultural resources to the people of Maine. Budget Committee and Select Board recommend this expenditure. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 66 carries. Article 67, to see if the town will vote, miscellaneous articles, sorry. Miscellaneous articles. Article 67, to see if the town will vote to increase the property tax levy limit of $846,361 established for Cornish by state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax levy limit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 67 passes. Article 68, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into multi-year contracts of up to 3 years for such services as winter plowing and sanding, trash and recycling pickup, mowing, and office equipment leases. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? That's it? Okay, thank you. It's been first and second. Any discussion? Let's proceed to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 68 carries. Article 69.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to move Article 69 through 76 to a vote.
Yeah, they do.
You know, in Hiram, they combine them all ahead of time. But anyway, we're in Cornish. We'll do it with Cornish. So there has been a motion. Can you repeat your motion one more time?
Move Articles 69 through 76 to the vote. As written.
Go ahead and second.
So second it.
Move Article 73.
Seconded. Okay, it's been amended and seconded that we will proceed Article 69 through 76. For Article 73 will be set aside until momentarily after this vote. You guys understand the amendment that's been proposed?
You have to vote on the exclusion, don't you?
Yes, we do have to, yes.
Why can't 73 be in there?
Somebody just amended it. That's-
Oh, so we got to vote on the amendment?
We'd like to have a discussion on Article 73.
Mr. Moderator, I withdraw my motion.
Can we do 69 through 72?
Sure.
Do I have
I would like to make a motion, we move Article 69 through 72 as written.
Do I have a second?
Seconded. Second.
Any discussion on these articles? All right. Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Thank you. I was getting a little uncomfortable with amending the amendment, so. Article 69, Article 70, 71 and 72 passes. Article 73. To see if the town will vote to discount the real estate and personal property taxes paid within 30 days of the date of commitment at the rate of 3%. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion?
I'd like to amend that article to read 5%.
No, second that.
It is out of order to increase an article, from my experience.
No.
Further discussion?
So where are we at?
So the amendment to Article 73 proposed increases the article, which is not allowed. So currently, we're at 3%. Yes, further discussion.
Maybe I'm looking at this incorrectly. It's increasing the amount that will say the taxpayer. The other side of that is that I've been told in the past that sometimes it's difficult to have cash flow coming in. And in this particular financial climate, people can get 4 or 5%, 5.5% in a short-term CD. So is this going to interrupt your cash flow come September?
No, we have each year within the bill rate, there's a segment that we build in, knowing that typically the 3% discount equates to somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000. So there's consideration given for that discount, and it's built into the mill rate annually.
I think what he's saying is because interest, I believe what Brad was asking was that are people going to use that discount of 3% when they can use that money to get 5%? So would we?
And the question was, is it going to interrupt the cash flow? The answer is no. We have adequate cash flow.
But if they're not going to pay taxes, where is the cash coming from?
Checking account. We have adequate.
Go ahead, Nancy.
No problem.
I know what you're saying is accurate, you cannot increase it. However, we do have another town meeting coming up within a couple of months. Is it possible to readdress this particular one and at that next town meeting? Which will give you a chance to research it.
We can do that.
I mean, we could certainly give it consideration. I would suggest that in light of the increase to the municipal budget this year, on the worksheet that's been prepared by, was shared with the budget committee, and it's just shy of 14%. So is it a good time to essentially increase the budget to some number greater than the 14% already? I don't know, we could look at it, Nancy.
It's an option, dear.
It is an option,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I believe, a copy of this law, that you are, it is possible for you to reconsider a motion, that it's not going to be worked on. We're having a town meeting in May, and this information is not going to be used at that. Before then, I think you can take and reconsider it.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to table Article 73 till the May municipal meeting and to increase it to 5%.
It's substantial change, so it would be separate.
Hold on one second.
Yes, it's going to increase, the mill rate. It's just.
So we could postpone this to a time certain. I don't think you could amend it right now, higher, but you could postpone this to a time certain if the body here sees fit.
So I'll restate that.
Fair enough.
I make a motion to table Article 73 to reassess the language and percentage to the May municipal meeting.
Okay. Yep. Any discussion?
Well, it's 3% off the tax bill, right?
Correct.
It's not 3% annualized off the tax bill. So
It's-
if you switch it to 5%, that's like 5 times 12 is 60% annualized. Why would you want to do that?
Well, to your point, it's going to negatively impact the mill rate.
Sure.
And historically, this town has used 3% for a number of years, and not everybody takes full advantage of the early payment. So I guess I think you want to give it careful consideration, because by increasing the discount to some number greater than 3%, it's going to be a pass-through right to the mill rate for taxes, and this is not a good year for increasing the mill rate.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to point out they increased the Article 72 from 8 to 9%, so they increased what they're charging.
But that's state, that's not us.
So,
I'm just letting you know, that's the state.
that won't change, we should change the discount for people to pay.
Further discussion on tabling Article 73 to a date certain, which is a town meeting in May? May 1st. Further discussion on that amendment? Okay. Ready to move to a vote to table Article 73 to a date certain, which is in May? I see a show of hands from the. Just hold them up, please. So we can, One more time, please.
All right, if you're raising your hands, high.
Okay, thank you. And the no's on this amendment.
So, yay, pass.
So, yep, it's a majority. This motion takes a majority. The majority has it as amended to table until the May meeting. Article 73 is tabled. Article 74, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes. The amount collected not to exceed previous year's taxes. Interest on any prepayment will be 0%.
So moved.
Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? All right, let's move to vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 74 passes. Article 75, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to appoint all necessary officers for the ensuing year. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands from the yeas? And the noes? Article 75 passes. Article 76, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to transfer monies from undesignated funds to cover any overdrafts. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
First and second, any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for the yeas? Thank you. And the noes? Article 76 carries. Article 77, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That give me a majority vote on it.